Hello and welcome back to our election special of Unfiltered with Bob Z, the podcast where we promise to keep it unfiltered and give it to you just how we get it. Today our guest is Andria McClellan, Norfolk City Councilwoman for Super Ward 6. Mm-hmm. I know that's my Super Ward. I should have known that. But she's going to be here today. The way we're doing our election special, we have people from all different genres. We have some people from the spiritual, religious community. We have a couple of people that are elected officials. We also have some people that are just regular people that are out trying to promote whatever cause they may support. Some people are in favor of the casino and other referendums. Some people want to vote yes, and some people want to vote no on the ability for citizens to take an active part in the redistricting and drawing the lines so they can, their representatives can be chosen. Today we're just going to discuss a few things that I know that our councilwoman, I have to have full disclosure. I think Councilwoman McClellan is one of the most genuine council people that I've ever been associated with. Whether you agree with her or not, she gonna tell you.
Unfiltered. That's the name of the game, right?
Right. So she can be the unfiltered councilwoman, and this will be the unfiltered show. So it's a perfect match. My first question is, from your bird's eye view, what are the most pressing issues on the federal, state, and local level during this really, really wacky election season?
Well, I think the first one is addressing COVID. Before we can do anything, we've got to have a plan for how we address it at the federal level. I'd like to see, as everybody's talked about, having that plan, talking about testing, talking about PPE, and once we get that under control, getting hopefully a vaccine, and getting the confidence of the American public, then we can start to get back to normal, whatever that new normal is going to be with our economy, et cetera. So I think that's absolutely number one. The economy will not improve until we have a plan to address COVID.
A plan would be nice. What about on the state and local level? I know everything pretty much rolls down from the top.
Sure.
So we don't have a plan at the top, then it's kind of difficult. However, we've been doing it thus far. I know on the state level we have had, I think we've had great leadership from Governor Northam in the light of what we're dealing with. But on the local level, how do you feel that what's the question they always ask? What grade would you give yourselves? As far as
Well, so I think one of the challenges as it relates to COVID and the CARES Act funding is that the funding from the federal government is not coming directly to the municipalities unless you are a city of 500,000 or more, a city or county. And that's only Fairfax County and the state of Virginia. So we are waiting for money to go through the state, and then it comes to the municipality. So that's a challenge. The other challenge is we're getting that money is we have to spend it by December 31st. It has to be one-time spending. It can't be in our budget, and it can't replace a budget shortfall. So we really had to be creative about that. One of the other areas that I think at the federal and the state and the local level that we have to address is access to broadband. Right? This is something that I've been working on regionally with our regional broadband ring to create more competition, which lower prices and create more opportunities for broadband. But now with COVID, we've got kids who can't access their classrooms. Exactly. We've got folks who need to go to the doctor with telehealth. And if they don't have access to broadband, they're stuck there. Citizens who need to access government services and, of course, just telework in general. So I think the federal government needs to be a leader there. I think the state of Virginia has an opportunity, a real moonshot, if you will, to invest heavily in broadband connectivity. And a lot of times we talk about broadband as it relates to the unserved rural areas, and that's definitely an issue.
Right.
But in cities like Norfolk, in cities like Richmond, where there is broadband in the ground, we still have people who don't have broadband access because they can't afford it, because they don't have devices, and because they don't have the digital literacy. So I'd love to see the state and the local level also play in that area too. So I think that's huge. I think Norfolk's doing well with COVID and with our response, trying to ensure that folks who are experiencing homelessness have a place to stay. That we are investing in our small businesses with our small business development grants. We're putting over $2 million in there because small businesses are the foundation to our economy. That's a huge issue there. At the school level, it's a challenge. Listen, I've got a 15-year-old at home at Maury High School who's going to virtual high school. He's doing okay. He is doing just fine. I worry about our families who have little ones.
Oh, wow.
And how in the heck do you go to work and deal with little ones at home who are in a virtual environment? So childcare is a huge issue that we've got to address at the local, the state, and the federal level too.
That's amazing. I'm actually teaching at Lake Taylor High School during the day virtually. I'm teaching virtually. I'm teaching earth science, believe it or not.
How's that going?
It's going. I'm disappointed in a couple of things. Attendance.
Yeah.
And I know that, and I try to, one of the things I try to empathize, and I tell the students, hey, I know it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
A person like me, I would have lost my mind if I didn't have the social interactions.
Oh, yeah.
To go. So, I mean, we're trying to, and this system is trying to do the best they can, I think. I mean, everybody's putting an honest effort in to say, and what's the perfect plan? Who knows?
There's no perfect plan. And we're asking teachers to do so much, and it's not just a matter of taking what you do in the classroom and then all of a sudden putting it in front of a camera. It's got to be the way you teach, the type of interaction, what you're asking from the students. It's all so different. And, this is what I say about what we are going through. It is fast forward change. Mm-hmm. And if you like change and you can embrace it, then this is a great place for you. But a lot of people, it scares the hell out of them. Yeah. Government, I mean, holy cow, we're not big fast change makers.
Oh no, it's
and
not.
So we're really having to do a lot. And Norfolk, one of the other things that we did was this whole Open Norfolk initiative, where we leaned in with getting our restaurants open.
I like the parking thing.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden, we had to make a lot of changes to our planning department and zoning and codes that typically would take months, and we did it in a matter of weeks. And I think if we could have more of our processes look like that, where it's more iterative, and you make a change quickly and then you adjust. I'd like to see more of that happen. So there's some good things that have come out of this whole process.
Okay. Well, since we're keeping it unfiltered, the casino referendum.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. A, can this area support two casinos? Our sister city, Portsmouth, is planning the same thing. B, how do the pros outweigh the cons as far as an investment in the city versus the possible pitfalls that could accompany the casino?
So let me just give a little history for folks who may or may not know.
Okay.
So my involvement and the city council's involvement was we had the Pamunkey tribe come to us a couple years ago and said that they were interested in opening up a tribal casino here in Norfolk. And so over the course of about 18 months, we had 5, give or take, meetings with them in closed door session with the idea that we would sell 13 or 14 acres of land here in Norfolk, and that they would create an intergovernmental agreement and put that land potentially into trust. At the same time, looking at the possibility of a commercial casino. And the difference is this: if it's a tribal casino in the true sense, the tribe would operate it. We would get no taxes. We would have no control over that area, which would essentially have become a sovereign nation, right? And so my concern when we brought that to the public in September 2019 was I felt like that was a big ask of the city and that the public needed some more information. And so at the time, I was the fly in the ointment.
You stood your ground.
Well, I asked for continuance, and I just thought that we weren't ready for it, and I voted against it at the time because I thought we needed more information. So fast forward, what I was really good going for was I thought the people needed to have a say in this. And so here we are.
Right.
The General Assembly has voted, and now it's going to be on the referendum, a referendum on the ballot on November 3rd. And the people are going to have a say. My concern is I don't think we've, since that time, have done a great job of educating the people about what is on the ballot and what the options are. So the city manager came out with an internal document. And now he is a PhD economist, a very smart guy. But it wasn't from an independent source. And it shows that with his analysis, about $25 to $40 million in revenue a year. It doesn't really take into account a whole lot in terms of the expenses. I will say what's good about this deal is that the city should not have to be paying any. Typically, we would pay some sort of tax incentive or rebate or infrastructure costs, and on the face of it, we won't have to do that.
We're not doing no infrastructure, no ingress?
Well, that's, I mean, outside of that area, are we going to have to do something with our seawall? Are we going to have to do something with transportation? Depends who you ask. Mm-hmm. I suggest that there are going to be some city money that is going to have to go towards there. We're looking at higher public safety costs. We haven't determined what those are yet, maybe $6 to $8 million. There's a cost to pathological gaming, and the city manager estimates that between $2.5 to $10 million. So net, I don't know if it's good or bad for the city. Here's where I think the city of Norfolk needs to focus right now. We need to be working towards next generation jobs, high paying jobs, innovation jobs, and hospitality is important, and tourism is definitely important to our community and to the region. This is not the area where I want to spend a lot of time and focus. And I am worried about the fact that the casino always wins, house always wins, which means somebody loses. And I worry that the people who can least afford to lose will be the folks who are losing, and they haven't been sitting at the table here. There's the argument that there are going to be jobs for the community, and I hear that. I just think that the research that I've done, and it is anecdotal, is that free money is never free.
Right.
And it's easy for elected officials to sign up and say, we need money, so we're going to take it, damn the torpedoes. And while I think we've done some analysis, I am very concerned that this is going to come with a lot of risks. And to your question with Portsmouth on the table too, do we have enough to support that here? And are we going to be bringing money from outside of the area to the community? Some say yes. I'm skeptical. I am skeptical. And so here's what I do want. If this does pass, I want to have annual reports of what benefit actually came to the community. We often sell economic development deals in advance, and we never hear after the fact, did they actually give us what we were sold? Right. And so that's what I've asked the city attorney. So city manager, I don't know if it's going to be a success or not, but here's the good news is the citizens have the right to vote on it, and they cast their ballot on November 3rd or early. I hope folks vote early. I voted early on September 18th.
I'm still waiting, not because I'm undecided, but just, I don't know, I just want to feel that empowerment of going on election day, I guess. It's just
my husband's waiting until election day too.
Just a powerful thing to go and cast your ballot.
Yes, sir.
It's a real powerful feeling. I want to ask you. I'm going to.
So let me
Go
just
ahead,
one last thing,
Okay.
and I think this is really important. With regards to the casino here in Norfolk, I mentioned that the tribe came to us. Mm-hmm. Here's what the city of Norfolk didn't do. We didn't go out and say, we want a casino. Who are all the options? Who are all the operators? Is this the best deal that we could get? And I think the folks who are against this deal have suggested we probably should have done that. So I don't know if this is the best deal. I do know that the deal that we had originally that we were going to vote on with the tribal casino versus now the commercial casino, this deal is a lot better. But could it have been even better? I don't know. And there are some concerns about the tribe and some of their past. And we have not addressed those.
That was next.
We haven't addressed those. I mean, if we're going to be unfiltered.
Right.
And I think, this is conceivably one of the largest economic development deals that this city might get into. You want to know that you're going to be doing this with the best partner available. Right. And I don't know if this is or this isn't, but I'll tell you that there are enough questions that we haven't addressed that make me concerned. And if we could answer those, then I could be fine, but we just haven't talked about them enough.
Right. Let's address that elephant in the room.
Yes, sir.
The racism. The Pamunkey tribe, I guess they've been, at first I was like, well, let's see if this is, I just hate saying racism just all willy-nilly. I want to,
be careful.
Right. I don't want to.
We live in cancel culture, right? And we got to be very careful about that. I agree.
Because it will dilute the real claims of racism if you just everything is racist. It won't boy who cried wolf theory. But so when I first heard, I was like, well, let's find out are there rumors or not. And I still have not gotten a clear, concise answer. Are your bylaws or are the Constitution or whatever that governs your tribe? Is it does it have clauses that state that the African Americans can't be a part of it, can't marry? I've heard all kinds of rumors. So I think that we probably should have gotten that cleared up prior to because if we vote on a referendum and, then after the fact we find out, oh my God, this is a terrible organization. It doesn't say a lot for vetting and what should be done as far as vetting.
So what I will tell you is that we didn't talk about any of this early on, but I will tell you that they have provided us documentation. They did change their bylaws in 2014, which previously, up to that date, said that a tribal member couldn't marry a person of color. So in 2014, not 1914.
You said 2018.
2014.
2014.
And that was done in order for them to get their federal recognition, right? So, that has been changed in 2014. I have spoken with a young woman who she has documentation that she claims that shows that her family should be enrolled, should be a member of the Pamunkey tribe and recognized back to 1830 and 1850. Jasmine Anderson, but she's African American, and her ancestry, because of that, she believes she's not been enrolled as a result of that. And there have been a lot of different elements of how they enroll, etc. But in my opinion, if you're a tribe, you want to have as many members as possible in your tribe. You want to welcome people in. You don't want to make it difficult for them. And what I have seen from her suggests that they have made it very difficult for her. And they did change and adopted a new resolution. After I brought this up at the council meeting in October, we got a letter saying that they had created a resolution over the summer that would allow additional records to be presented. So I haven't seen it. She had not seen it. It just, I just have a lot of questions. That's what I would say. Well, and remember, this is potentially the largest economic development deal that we're getting into.
Right, exactly.
And we should be able to vet and have those discussions.
I don't even know what the hurry was in the first place, because it kind of, once you see stuff, it kind of puts a bad, going forward. But did the past bylaws, did it say that they could marry a white person, but they can't marry a black person?
Yes.
Or they can marry
Yes.
a Hispanic person, but they
No.
can't? Just anybody that
Somebody who was of the tribe or a white person.
That's pretty plain and simple.
And by the way, and that information was presented to us in September of 2019.
Yeah, I heard that. Okay.
During the public comment period, and we have not discussed it.
That should have been on the table. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears now. So I'm gonna go back to the casino. So that's gonna be binding as far as what is the referendum gonna obligate? Let's say it passes.
Sure. So as I understand it, the next steps would be they have to go to the lottery board, and it has to be approved, the financial backer and the tribe. And at that point, then they can close on the sale, and they'll start building. One of the things that I thought was positive is the tribe came out with an employment plan and a plan to hire minority contractors and local contractors, which I think was really great. What I asked of the city manager was for that plan to actually be included as an addendum to the contract, and that there would be a remedy if those numbers weren't met. Because,
right.
What I said was, this all sounds really good. And by the way, I asked for that in September 2019. And it got created, but it got created in September of 2020. But at any rate, better late than never, let's put it in the contract.
Right.
It's not in the contract. And so, again, it's just, trust but verify.
Right.
I think is where we need to go with this one. So citizens, y'all have a chance to vote and make your voice heard. And there are definitely pros and cons. And I've tried to present both sides and tried to stay pretty neutral. And I've actually stayed out of this for the most part, as opposed to last year.
Okay. This is actually the casino is a whole show in itself, but right now we're just gonna try to the light rail. When it first came along, they were calling it the train to nowhere. That was the nickname. It was the train to absolutely, positively nowhere. I guess because a lot of hopes were pinned upon Virginia Beach.
Yeah, it was considered a starter line.
Being a good partner Virginia Beach, and meeting us halfway.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would have been a very positive thing for this region.
Yes.
I guess they weren't feeling the regionalism piece, but I'm still thinking now. It's like almost for me, it's a no-brainer that, and I can't see if we have the world's largest naval base in the world, and a fairly large university.
Several.
30,000, what, ODU, 30,000 students or so. And it's the Westway all the way up, and you have you have some kind of infrastructure with the Lamberts Point trains and all of the run. Why not run to the naval base? The light rail seems.
So listen, I'm vice chair of Hampton Roads Transit.
I saw that.
I've been on the HRT board for maybe 3 years or so ago. Started, and a couple of things. Number one is we're doing a study. We did a study of the west side. We're doing a study of the east side. The west side infrastructure and the cost because of flooding and because of the narrowness of Hampton Boulevard just didn't allow for that to happen. It just was never going to be feasible. So now we're looking at the east side, which would basically run from Newtown Road Station up Military Highway, up to, I hope I'm getting this right, about Little Creek into the base, right? So to start to address that there. And so we're proceeding with the study of that to see if that works. And whether it could be light rail, it could be bus rapid transit, we could look at a lot of different things, but we need to focus on that for sure. Regionalism, right? We just landed for the first time ever $30 million annually of dedicated regional public transit money. We have never, ever had that. So we don't have truly a regional transit system. We have 6 different cities putting in however much they want to put in for whatever level of service they want, but it's not regional in nature. It's been regional in name only. So now we finally have some dedicated funding, and we're going to get, I think it's 13 regional routes, every 15-minute service. It's going to start on the peninsula, and it's going to come to the south side. Meanwhile, Norfolk is doing our own transit study, and we are also trying to implement more frequent, more reliable service so more folks can have access to transit. Transit's a huge thing for us. But we need regional leaders. We need to elect regional leaders. And listen, Portsmouth and Virginia Beach, y'all have elections this November 3rd, and you need leaders who are going to come to the table and recognize the value of public transit and the value of light rail and the value of working together, because there's, Norfolk can fight against Virginia Beach and Portsmouth and Chesapeake. But if we don't work together, we are going to lose as a region. So the 757 has got to unite. And so the people that I'm supporting on the ballot in November in my sister cities are the people who I think can do that.
Well, it brings me. It's a great segue because I'm everybody I'm Super Mermaid City. I mean, it's out there. People know I grew up in here.
I see the tail right there. You can't see it, folks. He's got a mermaid tail right there.
Oh no. But my problem is this, and that's why we're going to segue talking about the elections for our cities. Why and I've asked just about everybody, why are we holding our elections in May? Let me detail, because anything, and I researched it, I said anything that is done to keep the voter numbers down, whether it be intentional or it be disparate impact, or whatever is done to keep it's voter suppression. There's no way around it, and I'm really particular about this issue. There's no way around it, and I'm not saying that we have to have the elections in a presidential year, because the answers I was given is that it's gonna the people are gonna get confused, and it's a nonpartisan city. Give people credit. I mean, we're not that ignorant that we can't, decipher,
right.
Whether. I mean, I think it's a slap in the face to suggest that people can't figure out.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm like, even if it was in the off year like our General Assembly and state elections, that we have got to come out of the dark ages, as a city, and have our elections in November. It increases turnout, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
We can't go and accuse people in Georgia. I mean, it's different methods that they use for voter suppression,
Listen,
and it's more intended.
So, number one, I support moving the elections from May to November.
Yay!
So number one. But number two, what I will tell you, in doing so, it makes it more difficult to run.
It does.
It makes it more difficult to run because you're fighting up against, whether it's during the presidential year or even statewide, you still get lost in the shuffle, right? Because people may not be paying attention to the all the way down the ballot. But I do agree with you, and I think that I'd love to see them in the off years when we have the statewide elections. I think that is the way to go, and I support that. But it is going to be more difficult for folks to raise money and to get recognition.
You got to glow up. we just have to. It's just got to be something to be done.
You need the citizens to demand it, because I think it's very easy as elected officials who are elected in May. It's easy it's to say, no, we just want May because it's easier for us.
Yeah, that's what I came up against. It was like, it's an incumbent's dream. If I can run citywide and all I need is 13,000 votes.
Well, as somebody who ran against a 16-year incumbent in 2016 and was told that I needed to wait my turn and there was no way I'd ever win and I'd never raise enough money, it's really tough.
It's tough.
It is really tough. Now we won in 19 of 23 precincts.
Yeah.
So it can be done, but you have to have a lot of gumption behind you.
It's got to be a perfect storm too. Because I think people were sick of them.
Yeah. So I'd like to think that they were just interested in Andria McClellan.
But it's the perfect storm.
It's a combination for sure.
Yeah, perfect storm is like a lot of different factors.
But it is more difficult to run in November for sure. But I support moving the election.
Okay. So you are running for lieutenant governor.
So I have a PAC called Access for Virginia that I stood up at the end of July, and I'm considering a run for lieutenant governor. I haven't declared candidacy, and I'm sorry, I'm not breaking it here, but I will have said that I would consider that, and won't do anything until after the November 3rd election. I will tell you that we had a great fundraising quarter. And gotten a lot of support around the Commonwealth and talking with a lot of electeds and grassroots leaders. And really I'm focused on access. I mentioned broadband access, access to capital for small businesses and workforce development training, access to a clean environment and flood mitigation around the Commonwealth, and access to elected officials, transparency and civic engagement. Those are things that I worked on consistently on city council and my regional role and some of the statewide things that I'm doing. So I think that there is a good path for me, and I think you'll see something post November 3rd. I'd love to represent the Mermaid City in Richmond.
That's right.
And I think so. Listen, Lieutenant Governor presides over the Senate. The position breaks the ties in the Senate, so it's very critical. And then the other 9 to 10 months of the year, you have a statewide platform to do whatever the governor wants you to do, whomever he or she is. And I'd like to use my business background in promoting the state. I'd like to use what I've done with the regional broadband ring here and take that around the state to expand broadband access. What I've done on flooding issues. I'm a recovering entrepreneur. I used to chair the Small Business Advisory Board for the state under Governor Warner. I'm on the boards of 757 Angels and 757 Accelerate. So I think I can bring a lot to the table, and I'm really excited. And you know what? There's never been a woman in the lieutenant governor role in Virginia.
Well, somebody's running for the governor that's a friend of mine as well, and I was just brainstorming. I can see McClellan and McClellan.
People will know the McClellan name after this race for sure.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that would be a great ticket. Okay, well, it's been a very interesting conversation, and I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, Unfiltered with Bob Z. You are one of the politicians that I really, really appreciate, because no matter whether I agree with you or disagree with you or anybody, you're going to keep it real, or as my son would say, keep it 100. And I'm really, I wish you well with the possible running for lieutenant governor, and I think you'll do well. And I just want to thank you for coming on Election Special. Everybody have a great day. I'll see you when I see you.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you.
All righty.
Everybody vote.